I think I've missed out on the last two sales for War Thunder now, and I like money and you guys like jets, so I've got to lock in real quick for this sale. I hope you excuse me. In all seriousness though, I have been sitting on some footage for quite some time and I just never get around to actually making a video out of it. I could probably make 3 or 4 videos, but again, I just don't actually sit down with the time to do it. But I do feel like actually coming back to top tier a little bit for my YouTube channel. I haven't made videos that weren't top tier, really. I've made like 2, but as far as my break goes, it's been a very long time and I really kind of just miss the community I had on YouTube. No promises though, because again, I just don't really have that much time, so there is no upload schedule still, just maybe some top tier videos sprinkled in here in the future. If you go to the GAIJIN store right now, you will see select premiums are on sale for War Thunder's anniversary, and one of those is the F-18C for the American Tech Tree. If you want to watch an entire sales buying guide, this is not the video for you. Other people such as Defin have made that exact video you're looking for, and he's always a credible source to listen to when it comes to aircraft and War Thunder, so go check that out. Instead, I want to compare 2 very popular premiums, the F-18, which is on sale, compared to the F-20, which is not on sale right now, but it will be in the future, so this is good to know anyways. But I do just want to emphasize the F-20 is not 50% off right now, the F-18 is. Anytime you're buying anything from the GAIJIN store, I would really appreciate if you use my discount link in the description down below. You'll get my decal on screen and 3% off of whatever you buy, except for on sales like right now. So no discount, but you'll still get the decal and I get a little cut of whatever it is you buy. And if you're not gonna use my link, use anyone else's link. And now 2 minutes into the video, let's finally talk about War Thunder. Which should you buy, the F-18 or the F-20? I'm just gonna tell you right now straight up that the F-18 is obviously the better aircraft, honestly, on the account of its missile kit alone. Not only do you get more missiles, but your AIM-7s are better as well. You get AIM-7Ps instead of AIM-7M/Fs. And while they're not super different, the AIM-7P is an obvious upgrade. It has the IOG capability, which does help a lot when it comes to actually impacting your target. And also it has the ability to relock the target if you lose lock or if you want to switch targets, something like the R-27ER for example. But in my opinion, I don't really believe that it's that clear cut. As I mentioned before, Defin makes great buying guide videos for premiums, and I believe if I remember correctly, he said that he recommends the F-18 over the F-20, and I absolutely don't disagree with that. That's a valid opinion. I'm going to offer a second opinion though, and it is a little bit different than that. The F-18 is the better plane, and it's even the better plane for its own battle rating in my opinion. The battle ratings we're talking about, of course, 12.3 for the F-20 and 12.7 for the F-18. And to be quite frank, there's not many 12.3s in the entire game, so what you're going to find very often is that you are almost always up-tiered into a 12.7 match, or even a 13.0 match. So your matchmaker off the bat is pretty unfavorable just on the account that there's not that many 12.3s in the game, and more often than not you get sucked up rather than sucked down. But I would tell you that the F-18, while being better for its own battle rating, is honestly in an even worse situation. The F-20 up tiers are obviously not favorable to 12.7 and 13.0, but it's extremely manageable. The very common weapon of those battle ratings is still the SAR missile. At worst, you're probably fighting R-27ERs, maybe a little of IRCCM sprinkled in there, but it's definitely still manageable. The F-18 on the other hand, its up tiers are very frequently into Fox 3 territory where people are shooting active radar homing missiles at you while all you have to shoot back with is Sparrows, semi-active radar homing guided missiles. And if you know anything about the 2 missiles, you would know that if somebody shoots a Fox 3 at you, they can pull away instantly and let their missile track its way to the target, and they can defend against your incoming missile. However, for your incoming missile to actually hit them, you have to continue flying straight at their missile that doesn't need any guidance anymore, and you're more than likely just going to end up running right into that missile before your SAR ever actually makes it to the target. And then when you die, your missile isn't even tracking anymore, and you can't even get a trade out of that. So in my opinion, that alone kind of puts me more in favor of the F-20. The up tiers for the F-18 are absolutely brutal. Honestly, that entire battle rating is probably the worst in the entire game for up tiers. Taking Fox 1 missiles and putting them up against Fox 3 missiles on a regular basis is honestly quite miserable. And while sure it doesn't happen every time, there's plenty of times when you play the F-18 that you're not going to be in Fox 3 lobbies. It does happen very often enough anyways to be a massive headache and quite unenjoyable. I genuinely don't think that there's a more imbalance in the entire game when it comes to a plane's capabilities than looking at the battle rating where you transition from Fox 1s to Fox 3s, because Fox 1 planes stand absolutely no chance against Fox 3 planes, if of course that Fox 3 plane is actually looking at you and trying to kill you. Obviously there's tons of other factors in ARB that don't make it quite that simple. Your teammates take some of the heat off of you, you can always find ways to sneak in kills, and it is absolutely still possible to play the F-18 in Fox 3 combat. I'm just saying that it's not enjoyable and it's extremely unfavorable for you as the F-18. And not just the F-18, again, I mean that entire battle rating of Fox 1 planes that are getting matched up against Fox 3s on a regular basis, whether it be the Su-27, whether it be the F-18A, you name it. It's just not a fun time when you have to take your AIM-7 Sparrow up against an AIM-120 AMRAAM. And so while the F-18 is one of the better 12.7s for sure, so at its own battle rating I would say it's amongst the best, and as a plane itself it is obviously better than the F-20, I would still say that the F-20 is for most people going to be a more enjoyable gameplay experience, and overall is going to be more efficient for your grinding because you're going to be able to get a more consistent amount of kills every game despite your matchmaker, because your matchmaker is never so unfavorable that it's honestly just a chore to get any kind of RP whatsoever. The F-18 on the other hand, that is quite the case. If you get up tiered at all, it doesn't even have to be a full up tier, just an up tier into 13.3 can find you quite a few missiles with active radar homing seekers. On the flip side, the F-20 at 12.3 can only go up to 13.3, so while there are a few planes for sure at 13.3 that have active radar homing missiles, you're only ever going to fight 4 at once, and that is still somewhat manageable. On the flip side, if you're 12.7 and you get a full up tier into 13.7, well, you're going to have 4 13.7s with Fox 3 missiles, and then probably another handful of 13.3s that also have Fox 3 missiles. Next thing you know, 8 out of the 16 enemy players have Fox 3 missiles, and your best weapon to counter them with is going to be the AIM-7 Sparrow. Good luck with that one. Again, it's still definitely possible. There's a lot of outside factors that are going to affect the result of that game. I'm just saying that it's going to be quite a chore and quite unenjoyable. But let's talk about what you want for a moment. And let's be honest, most of you probably want the F-18, the famous American fighter jet, rather than the no-name F-20 that never actually served any real time in service in the US military whatsoever. And so if this is you, I'm not telling you not to buy the F-18. I'm not telling you you have to buy the F-20 over the F-18, otherwise you're making a bad decision. Definitely not. As I said, the F-18, especially when it's not getting its up tiers, is a great plane still. And if you love the F-18, if you want to be in a cool modern fighter jet, you're going to be able to look past the misery of fighting Fox 3 missiles to get your good games where you're fighting SAR missiles, other Fox 1 missiles, and you're in a cool Gen 4 jet while doing it. That alone might be worth your money and why you want to buy one over the other. I am not blind to that fact whatsoever. But I will say that the F-20 flies a little bit more like a modern fighter jet than the F-18 does. The F-18 is, quite frankly, it's pretty bad when it comes to flight performance. It's very underpowered. It loses speed very quickly. Not that the F-20 doesn't really. They actually have a lot of similarities in a way. I'm not going to tell you which one's better at dogfighting in a 1v1 duel. That's other people's space. Both of them are very capable in dogfights with some speed. As you start to shed your speed, they will lose it very rapidly once you get down below like 700, 800 kilometers an hour, maybe even more than that. It'll start draining speed very quickly in full pulls, but it pulls a lot of angle, gets you a lot of position, and if you're staying fast, it can maintain the speed through turns if you're at like, 1,000 kilometers an hour and whatnot. So both of them feel very similar in that way, and honestly, most of these types of jets really do at this modern era. But I will say, at very high speeds and high altitude, the F-20 does seem to have a noticeable advantage, enough for me to notice it to where I wanted to plug it in the stat chart just to confirm that it wasn't bias I was seeing, and the F-20 does in fact accelerate quicker at high speeds than the F-18 does. As you can see, the F-20 will be about 200 kilometers faster, and for the F-18 to catch up to the same speed, it's going to take it 30 seconds longer just about. So the F-18 in general is just a little bit slow at those high speeds. It basically never likes going past Mach 1.2, whereas with the F-20 you can get up to Mach 1.4 pretty consistently at high altitude at the start of matches to launch your missiles with. One massive downside to both of them, but especially the F-20, is that their main weapon is the AIM-7 Sparrow, which is quite the damn shame. The AIM-7P is, like we said before, a decent upgrade over the AIM-7M, but AIM-7s in general for me just tend to not hit the target. I don't know why. They pull off some pretty pathetic looking misses where you have no explanation as to why it didn't hit the target. It just straight up whiffed, and that's the classic AIM-7 moment. And then combine that with the fact that you only get 2 of them on the F-20, or you could just take 6 Sidewinders instead and not have any AIM-7s if you're not really feeling confident in them, which is extremely valid. Well, in general, the kit of the F-20 just isn't that amazing. But again, the whole point of the video, of course, I would much rather be taking the matchmaker of the F-20 than I would the F-18. Even with the F-20 seeing more up tiers, because again, there's not many 12.3s in the game, it's almost always getting sucked up. Even with that, its a matchmaker I find to be more competitive for the F-20. The F-18, there's plenty of 12.7s, and even though the F-18 is one of the best 12.7s, it's just not enjoyable up tiers. So I hope this helped some of you guys, and I'll see you later.